Shabbat shalom, everybody. Um, so this video will be talking about cannibalism during the Atlantic slave trade. So years ago, I came across a video that was talking about how during the slave trade there was documented cases of black people, Africans, being cooked and served to the other Africans that was being shipped throughout the world as slaves. So I wanted to look it up and just share this article that I found on it. So if y'all wanted to look these up yourself, I came across two different I guess documented cases of two different ships, one called the Arrogante and the other one is called Robert, I think. Um, those that's the documented cases of where these cannibalistic acts happen. So, and one thing about the people that was residing in Africa around this time, they were scared. They were scared of being caught by white Europeans because they were scared that they would be cannibalized by them. So this is something that I guess they was known for around this time. So this article is on Braille.com. So if you want to go and research it yourself, you can. All right. So it says at dawn on November 23rd, 1837, HMS Snake under the command of Captain Alexander Milne spotted its suspicious brig on the horizon, just off Cuba's westernmost point, the Cape of San Antonio. On the brig, a slave vessel named Arrogante, the sailor saw a large cruiser ship in the distance, a circumstance that led the captain to give orders to find an escape route as quickly as possible. The getaway attempt was short-lived, as the fast-sailing British cruiser soon caught up with the slave traders, although only after being forced to fire several shots at it, and in spite of the heavy rains and winds that made the chase all the more difficult. Upon boarding the ship, Captain Milne reported that its decks were crammed with enslaved Africans kept in atrocious conditions. In a private letter to his brother, written a couple of months later, Milne referred to the Africans on board as actual skeletons with death in their countenances. Countenance mean face. All right. Milne, a seasoned officer who had encountered several slave trade vessels before, confessed to be shocked as never before by the sight of dead children lying about the deck, while others were in the last stage, all calling for food and water and pointing to their mouths. So one thing that they don't really portray in the different movies and stuff like that most of those people that was enslaved were children. They don't want you to know that. But if you look it up, majority was children. Every nine sprinkle, they may have somebody that's in their 20s or 30s or older. But majority of the time, it was the children, teenagers, and young children that was put into slavery. And that goes along with Deuteronomy 28, where it said that your children will be given to another people. So, you know, um, back to the article. It says, without wasting any time, Captain Milne sent Lieutenant Robert Boyle Miller to take control of the Arrogante as prize master and to guide her immediately to Montego Bay, Jamaica, in order to disembark the Africans before continuing towards Sierra Leone, where the vessel and the crew were to be brought before the Anglo-Portuguese Court of Mixed Commissions. In the meantime, after seizing yet another slave ship, only hours later, Milne and the Snake sailed to I don't know how to say that. Jaguar Harbor on the south side of the island of Cuba, where they delivered most of Aragante's crew and their passengers to the governor of the fort of Jaguar. The Aragante, with a crew of 35 men, mostly Portuguese, which included the captain, the pilot, and other officers, plus 8 passengers, had obtained her human cargo 40 days before the notorious Spanish slave dealer Pedro Blanco, who incidentally was one of the 8 passengers, at the mouth of the river Galenas on the Upper Guinea coast. A total of 470 Africans, many of them children and adolescents, had been crowded under the small deck of the brig and sent on their way to Cuba, almost certainly co-signed to the house of Pedro Martinez and company, I guess, of Havana and Cadiz, whatever. When the ship came across HMS Snake, 64 of them had died. By the time the Africans were landed in Montego Bay 11 days later, 74 more had passed away, in spite of all the attention given to them by the assistant surgeons of HMS Snake, who had accompanied Lieutenant Miller. That the violence of effected upon this group of enslaved Africans had been exceptional because became even clearer upon their arrival in Jamaica. There, John Roby, the collector of customs at Montego Bay, was just as perplexed as Captain Milne had been before him. In a letter sent to Commodore Peter John Douglas months later, Roby recounted the horrible state of disease and emaciation prevailing among them, explaining that the thighs of many were not thicker than his own wrists, so they were starving. That's horrible. More alarming, however, was the revelation that many of the Africans made soon afterward. On various occasions upon their arrival and over the next few months, a considerable number of them, mostly children and adolescents, said repeatedly to different people that one of the Africans on board the Arrogante had been murdered, and that subsequently the sailors had cooked pieces of his body and served them with rice to the rest of the Africans. Many other accusations of beatings, rapes, and other various violent punishments were levied against the captain and crews. You know how evil you have to be in order to do that to other human beings. All right, let me finish. Although Roby, Lieutenant Miller, others who came into contact with them remained skeptical throughout. Others, including the collector of customs at Lucia, a coastal town west of Montego Bay, Lyndon Howard Evelyn, the senior magistrate at Hanover, Alexander Campbell, and Special Justice of Peace Hall Pringle were convinced that the young Africans were telling the truth and denouncing an event that had indeed taken place. Evelyn, perhaps the most outspoken of them all, went as far as stating in public that the long and patient hearing of the evidence and the careful observing of many days of tone and bearing of many witnesses who were brought before commission suddenly without concert from various places in about 9 months subsequent to the alleged perpetration of the crime were conclusive evidence that the horrors described by the Africans were not a result of their vivid imagination, as had been suggested. So anytime we as a people, even to this day, we try to say things that we know happened to us or that one of our family members or friends, cousins, whatever, another black person will try to say things that we've been through, we are told that it's in our head. that didn't happen. That's your imagination. And just like how we try to say, hey, they still have racist people in the world doing racist stuff to us. They're, doing evil stuff to us. And what we told? That none of that is true. That's, we making up things and stuff like that. That we're not we're not in a racist country and stuff like that. So it's just horrible. Like, just me reading this stuff is horrible. But I wanted to highlight that part on how they was like, oh, it's our imagination. Like, no, like these people was known to uh cannibalize people. So, all right, I wanted to keep this video under 10 minutes, but we may go up to 15, I guess, today. All right. Among these horrors, cannibalism was just one. Rape, torture, and beatings and sadistic murders, and another accusation of cannibalism. That this one directed towards the ship's sailor filled pages after page of depositions. Perhaps due to the challenging nature of the accusation and to the fact that Vincent Brown had continued that these inquest yeah, why I can't say that word. Inquest laid out the axis, boundaries, and values of community. It took between 7 and 8 months for the British authorities in Jamaica to give enough credence to the testimony of these young Africans before reluctantly starting a proper investigation that eventually involved them as well as the colonial office and the admiralty. I can't say that. During that time, the Africans had first been taken care of, although of 332 who were landed in Montego Bay, 66 died in the following weeks, and then hastily apprenticed according to the dispositions associated with the Emancipation Act of 1833 within the parishes of St. James and Hanover in northwestern Jamaica. So, I'm gonna stop here for now, but I just wanted to highlight that part. All right, so I wanted to highlight some scriptures that goes along with this. All right, it says, this is Deuteronomy 28:32. Thy sons and thy daughters shall be given into another people, and thine eyes shall look and fill with longing for them all the day long, and there shall be no might in thy hand. So that's talking about when our children were taken from us and put into slavery, and there's no might in our hands for us to get them back, and we are still in the lands of our captivity. So, um, this is Deuteronomy 28, 41. Thou shalt beget sons and daughters, but thou shalt not enjoy them, for they shall go into captivity. Open this for me. All right, so this is Deuteronomy 28:53. And thou shalt eat the fruit of thine own body, and the flesh of thy sons and of thy daughters, which Yahuwah thy Elohim Eluah had given thee, in the siege and in the straitness, wherein thy enemies shall distress me. They shall distress thee. All right, so Jeremiah 30:16. Therefore, all they that devour thee shall be devoured, and all thy adversaries, every one of them, shall go into captivity, and they that spoil thee shall be a spoil, and all that prey upon thee will I give for a prey. So, Jeremiah 30, I would like for y'all to look up that whole chapter that's talking about how the Most High was going to repay them back for everything that they've done to us. And when he said that those that devoured you, he's not just talking about them just unaliving us and tormenting us and torturing us and stuff like that. He's talking about they was literally devouring us. So that was a plague that was sent because we would not follow the Most High's laws, statutes, and commandments, and we was worshiping other gods. So since we did not want to worship the Most High, those plagues came upon us. And now we are in a time of judgment to where the Most High is about to have the same plagues for them that what they done to us. I don't do no Christmas. So I do suggest that y'all look up this stuff and look up those Bible verses that I pulled up. So the Most High will repay them, and we are in the time of repayment. We are in the beginning of their judgment. They've been in judgment for what, since 2019. So their judgment started when the COVID virus and all that stuff started happening. You seen plagues here and there and everywhere. We are in a time of judgment, and we still have a lot more judgment to go. And I can't tell you how long the judgment is going to be, but we are in, I think, the 7th year now, about to be going into the 7th year of judgment. So y'all look up them Bible verses, look up Deuteronomy 28 if you have not. Turn back to Abiyah, turn back to the Most High, turn back to them commandments. That's what our duty is, to keep the commandments of the Most High. So y'all have a blessed day. Look up these things and pray that we all make it through this judgment. Hallelujah. I'll talk to y'all later.